There are laughs, and then there are British lawyer laughs. The kind of laugh that's sharp, loud and dripping with disbelief, like someone just heard the most adorable joke that makes absolutely zero sense. That was the exact reaction rippling through the most elite legal circles in the UK when word spread that Meghan Markle was allegedly preparing to sue the British Crown if her Duchess of Sussex title was stripped away. Yes, that crown, not a Hollywood studio, not a streaming platform. Not some celebrity publicist you can threaten with lawyers and bad PR. We're talking about an institution older than most countries on Earth. So when whispers started floating that an American actress might actually drag the 1,000-year-old British monarchy into court, the reaction wasn't fear. It wasn't panic. It was laughter. Because to every seasoned British legal mind, suing the Crown is about as realistic as suing the weather for ruining your wedding day. You can complain. You can be upset, but you cannot take it to court. And yet, according to insiders close enough to the palace walls to hear the whispers in the corridors of power, Meghan was dead serious about the lawsuit. Reports suggest she allegedly went even further, claiming she'd go after Prince William himself once he becomes king. Once he becomes king. Now pause for a second. Let that fully sink in. An American citizen threatening legal action against the future King of England over a title she only has because she married into the family. It sounds dramatic because it is dramatic, but here's the twist nobody saw coming. This wasn't arrogance. This wasn't delusion. This was panic wearing a designer dress and high heels. Because when people feel truly powerful, they don't threaten lawsuits. They don't shout. They don't scramble. They sit back and they smile. And Meghan wasn't smiling. To understand why Meghan reacted this way, why the mere idea of losing this title triggered what insiders are calling a meltdown, you have to understand how she views that title. In Meghan's mind, Duchess of Sussex isn't something that was loaned to her. It's something she believes she owned. Like personal property, like a brand she built from scratch, she treats it the way Hollywood celebrities treat trademarks. Once it's yours, no one gets to touch it. That's why the idea of the Crown taking it back feels unthinkable to her, because she doesn't see the monarchy as the owner. She sees herself as the final authority over the name, the image, and the power attached to it. To Meghan, that title isn't just a label, it's her armor. It's what protects her when she walks into rooms full of the most powerful people on the planet. It's what turns phone calls into opportunity. It's what transforms interviews into global headlines. It's the reason doors open before she even knocks. Without that title, she's not a special guest. She's not royal adjacent. She's not a duchess. She's just Meghan. And that terrifies her. Here's the part people forget. Meghan Markle lived 37 years without any royal sparkle. She wasn't born into palaces. She wasn't raised with crowns and curtsies and royal protocols. She built a modest acting career, worked hard in a brutal industry, and carved out a name that mattered, but only within limits. She was a working actress. Respectable? Yes. Famous. Barely. Globally relevant. Not even close. Then she married Prince Harry, and overnight her entire world exploded. She didn't just gain a husband, she gained global relevance. Cameras followed her everywhere. World leaders wanted to meet her. Media outlets treated her like royalty because she was royalty. The title didn't just sit on her shoulder like an accessory. It wrapped around her like the most expensive designer coat in the world and instantly made her bigger, shinier, and more important than she'd ever been. Half Hollywood, half royal. A branding dream, and Meghan didn't just wear that title. She built her entire empire on it. Every deal, every red carpet, every glossy magazine cover, they all relied on one thing, that she was a duchess. Now imagine that disappearing. No title, no royal glow, no instant prestige. Suddenly she's not a global figure with royal gravity. She's a former actress trying to hold on to relevance in a brutal industry that eats yesterday's stars for breakfast. That's the fear. Not losing love. Not losing Harry, not even losing money, losing status. And when people are terrified of falling back to where they started, they don't play calmly. This is where fantasy crashes straight into cold royal reality, because no matter how Meghan feels about her title, the monarchy does not run on feelings. It runs on rules, ancient, unbending, very, very unemotional rules. Here's the simplest way to understand it, and this is what made British lawyers laugh the hardest. Royal titles are not handbags. You don't buy them, you don't earn them, and you definitely don't own them. A royal title is a permission slip. When Queen Elizabeth made Prince Harry the Duke of Sussex on his wedding day, that title didn't belong to Meghan. It belonged to Harry. Meghan only received it because she married the man who actually had royal blood. It was a courtesy title, a +1 title. A comes with the husband situation. Think of it like borrowing your friend's designer jacket. You can wear it. You can look amazing in it. People might even compliment you on it. But at the end of the day, it's not yours, and the owner can ask for it back anytime they want. And here's the part that matters most. That permission can be revoked with one signature from one person, the reigning monarch. No debate, no court case, no negotiation. The Crown doesn't explain itself. It simply decides. So while Meghan may believe her Duchess title is permanent, the truth is much, much colder. It exists only as long as the monarchy allows it to exist. And marriage is the thread holding it all together. Once that thread starts to fray, everything else becomes unstable. If Meghan ever needed proof that the Crown means business, it came wrapped in one very public, very brutal downfall. Prince Andrew, born royal, raised in palaces, bloodline so blue it practically glowed. And yet, with one decision from the monarchy, his entire royal life collapsed. Titles stripped. Duties erased. Status gone. No long negotiations. No emotional appeals. No special protection because of his birth. That moment sent a message. And it wasn't subtle. If the Crown can do this to a blood prince, it can do it to anyone, and Meghan heard that message loud and clear. Because unlike Andrew, her title isn't tied to her birth. It isn't woven into centuries of ancestry. It exists purely because of marriage, and marriages can end. What Andrew's fall revealed was terrifyingly simple. Royal power is not sentimental. Royal power is not personal. Royal power is fast, cold, and absolute. And if Andrew's crown could shatter that easily, Meghan's was never solid to begin with. It was glass, beautiful, shiny, and dangerously, dangerously fragile. This is the part that made British lawyers laugh the hardest. Because Meghan threatening to sue the monarchy isn't just bold, it's legally impossible. Let's explain this like you're 10 years old. You cannot sue the king, not in the UK, not in the US, not anywhere. Why? Because of something called sovereign immunity. Big fancy words, simple meaning. The king is the law, and you can't sue the person who writes the rules in the court that follows those rules. It's like trying to sue your school principal in the principal's office using the principal's own rule book. It doesn't work. And in America, even worse. A US court has zero authority over the internal decisions of a foreign monarchy. Royal titles aren't contracts. They aren't property. They aren't trademarks or business assets. They're symbolic honours, gifts from the crown. And you cannot turn a gift into a lawsuit. Any judge would take one look at this case and say, case dismissed, next. Which means when Meghan reportedly said, no one is taking my title away, she may not have realised the truth. They already can. They always could. And they don't need permission. That's why the lawyers laughed. Not because Meghan isn't smart, not because she isn't ambitious, but because the Crown doesn't argue, it decides. Here's the uncomfortable truth sitting at the centre of this entire story. Meghan's empire was not built from scratch. It was built on borrowed ground. Every glossy deal, every red carpet appearance, every carefully curated interview, they all leaned on one thing, that royal title. Netflix didn't just sign Meghan Markle, actress. They signed Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. Media outlets didn't just invite a former TV star. They invited a royal-adjacent figure dripping in prestige. Her foundation didn't speak as a private citizen. It spoke as a duchess. Her statements didn't land as opinions. They landed as royal commentary. That title added gravity to everything. And without it, the entire structure wobbles. Because here's the part nobody likes to say out loud. Hollywood is ruthless. Attention is currency. And royal sparkle buys a lot more attention than former actress with opinions. Without that title, Meghan doesn't disappear, but she shrinks. And shrinking is not an option when your entire public life depends on being bigger than the room. This is why the idea of losing the title doesn't just scare her. It threatens the foundation of everything she's built since leaving the palace. Strip away the romance, strip away the interviews, strip away the fairy tale language, and one truth remains. Harry was the gateway. Not to love, to power. It was Harry's bloodline that unlocked the palace doors. Harry's name that carried centuries of weight. Harry's position that transformed Meghan overnight from actress to global figure. Without Harry, there is no Duchess of Sussex. That doesn't mean the marriage was fake. It means it was functional, strategic, transformational. It elevated her in ways no Hollywood role ever could. But here's the catch. What marriage gives, marriage can also take away. Once divorce enters the picture, the gateway narrows. The protection weakens. The title becomes vulnerable. And Meghan knows this now in a way she didn't at the beginning. She understands the mechanics, which means any future exit must be controlled, calculated, protected. You don't walk away from a power source without securing the next one. This is where money quietly enters the room, not as romance, but as insulation. Because when status is at risk, wealth becomes armor. Private worlds, private protection from irrelevance. When royal power fades, financial power becomes the next best thing. This isn't about chasing men, it's about securing stability, because admiration from powerful people replaces the validation once provided by the crown. Wealth fills the silence where royal doors once opened automatically. And influence doesn't disappear, it simply changes form. If the monarchy was step 1, money is step 2. And once that shift happens, divorce stops being dangerous. It becomes manageable. Here's the final truth tying this entire story together. Meghan doesn't fear divorce. She fears becoming irrelevant. She fears the slow fade, fewer invitations, quieter phones, softer headlines. She fears slipping back into a version of herself the world no longer rushes to hear from. That's why power must transfer, not vanish. The crown once gave her elevation. Marriage sustained it. And now the future demands a new source of gravity. Something louder than royalty, something richer than tradition. Because once you've lived at the top, falling quietly is not an option. Falling quietly is not an option. So if divorce comes, it won't come as a collapse. It will come as a pivot, carefully timed, carefully protected, carefully powered. Because Meghan didn't escape the palace to disappear. She escaped it to negotiate power on her own terms. And that, to more than lawsuits, more than titles, is the real story. So what do you think? Is Meghan's title safe, or is it already slipping through her fingers? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I love hearing from you. And if this video opened your eyes to what's really happening behind the palace walls, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to see this. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter of this story. Because trust me, this is far from over.